Siomra
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Collecting Issues, our bi-weekly podcast looking at all things graphic novel. This week we'll be taking a look at Conan the Barbarian, the 2019 Marvel series, Volume 1, The Life and Death of Conan, collecting issues 1 to 6 of that series by Jason Aaron and Mahmut Asrar.
2018 or 2019?
2019.
Is it?
2019.
Very good.
2019.
Very exciting. The most exciting and modern comic we've read.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as you can hear, I'm joined by a man who crushes his enemies, drives them before him, and really takes pleasure in the lamentation of their women.
Look, Ben, I do actually, but I'm doing it in a camp voice. Benjamin,
Yes.
it's safe to say, and I'm going to do a little spoiler here, this is my favourite comic currently on the shelves.
It's safe to say this is the most
Shelves.
obvious choice for Michael's favourite comic on the shelves. It's so Mick, I don't actually know what to do with it.
Here's the thing though, right, Ben? I have never been terribly drawn to your pulp heroes before.
Why would you?
It's not really my cup of tea in general.
You're a man of taste and calibre, Michael, and pulp generally doesn't fulfil those
Pulp
needs.
doesn't hit me where I like it, where I like to be hit.
Nope.
And sword and sorcery, Ben, particularly kind of sweaty barbarian sword and sorcery, not really terribly my favourite zone either.
It's not a great genre, Michael.
Oh.
That'll get me in lots of trouble. But look,
Yeah, Ben, the bloody people, the listeners,
the
they might disagree with you.
Well, they're more than welcome to, Michael. If you'd like to disagree with me, get in touch with us at seomrabeag.com, SEOMRABEAG.com.
It means tiny room in Irish.
Nice.
Benjamin, you've professed a love for the comic book Headlopper, which is also a sword and sorcery barbarian epic.
Again, above its regular sweaty peasant folk.
Oh, I see what you've done.
Yeah.
Ben,
Yes.
riddle me this.
Go on.
Let me face you with this riddle of the sands.
Off you go.
Benjamin, who even is Conan the Barbarian?
Well, as you mentioned, Michael, he's a
Hold
barbarian.
on.
Oh.
I want to mispronounce it comically. Who even is, Ben? Conan the Barbarian. No, that's not great.
It wasn't great, but we'll keep going, Michael. We won't say anything.
Barbarian.
Conan is Conan of Cimmeria.
Is that right?
Cimmeria?
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 Chimeria.
Cimmeria.
Mm.
Cimmeria. All he wants for Christmas is you to die. So Cimmeria it is from now on. No, I think it's actually Cimmeria. Well, he's, as you mentioned already, Michael, a pulp hero.
One of the great pulp heroes.
One of the great pulp heroes. 1939. Throw your mind back, Michael. To the pulp novels of a man called Robert E. Howard.
Robert E. Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a Howard, but he's kind of Roberty.
He's a little bit Roberty. He's a little bit, not too Roberty. Yeah. Just Roberty.
A little bit Roberty. Robert E. Howard.
Anyway, he starts to write the pulp adventures of this young guy, originally in, not in novel format, for the old pulp magazines, Michael.
Bloody serialised magazines.
Serialised magazines, and it quickly becomes apparent that he is probably one of the better when it comes to pulp characters in magazines. So he goes off and does a couple of novels, and this is how we get him. And Conan starts out as a barbarian at the young, spry age of 15.
That's a very young man.
Yes, he goes and leaves the northern lands of Cimmeria.
Yeah.
And he goes off to conquer the world, and he later becomes the king of Aquilona. And he's probably one of the most lasting barbarians ever, Michael.
I can't think of any others. Cull, maybe.
Cull
the Conqueror.
Damn.
He's a barbarian. I think he was a barbarian. I think he was Robert E. Howard's other barbarian.
Well, look, needless to say, Michael,
yeah.
Only one has stood the test of time firmly, and that's bloody Conan. But why are we talking about, Michael, if it's a series of novels?
I don't know.
Well, Michael,
yes?
It didn't stay a series of novels forever. Marvel actually got the original rights to a comic book serialization in 1970. And that's probably where a lot of people know the Conan art from, because Frank Frazetta was their cover artist and kind of lead artist on that. And
Ben, who is Frank Frazetta?
Well, Frank Frazetta is an American-Italian immigrant, Michael.
Right.
And he kind of became famous for... In the 1970s, he did a lot of heavy metal covers and a lot of barbarian-esque swords, Dungeons, Dragons design.
A lady in a skimpy outfit.
Yeah, he was kind of the founder of the women don't need that much armor in medieval combat. They could have a skimpy bikini.
So it's Frank Frazetta's fault?
Not entirely, but he certainly made it better than most.
Look, you could argue, Ben,
yes.
Red Sonja in her skimpy bikini, she's got more armor on than Conan.
She does. Conan is actually doing it for the ladies. He's out there championing the cause, saying, look, if they're not going to wear anything,
I'm not going to wear anything.
Just gonna don a loincloth.
Just my bloody loincloth. That'll be it. That's all you're having.
Unfortunately for Marvel, the rights have kind of hopped backwards and forwards over the years, and they lost the rights to Dark Horse at one point, who kind of swooped on in there.
The Katy Perry song "Dark Horse."
No,
Baby, you're a dark horse. That one.
No, it's Bad Blood by Taylor Swift.
No, they're different songs. Where are we?
But
what are we doing?
You sang in the tune. It doesn't matter. Next week, join us next week on Collecting Issues, where we'll be taking a look at the works of Katy Perry.
All right.
And all her collected issues.
Oh, very good.
She's got quite a few.
Yeah, she married Russell Howard. Russell Brand. Russell Howard. That's the English guy.
What are we doing? Anyway, the rights have hopped around. But this year, Michael.
Yes.
Marvel got their hands back on the rights on January 2nd, 2019. And that's how I knew, Michael.
An auspicious time.
That this is a 2019 series, because they only got the rights back.
They only got
on
the
January
rights back
2nd,
on January
2019.
2019.
And Michael,
what a series!
what a bloody series!
Ben, I don't know if I've mentioned this either previously in our private lives
or 5 minutes ago
on our podcast, Michael and Benjamin's podcast, available on showerbiog.com, or even just a moment ago. This is my favourite comic book currently on the shelf.
I know why that is, Michael.
Go on.
Because it's bloody great.
It's very good, isn't it?
Bloody great.
Benjamin, I have to say, when you look at the cover of Conan the Barbarian, now I know the Frank Frazetta and the Sword and Sorcery, they're the old Sword and Sorcery genre, they have an art style, and the cover artist for this, Ben, whose name is
Asad Ribic.
Very good. He has been very inspired by
Frank Frazetta.
Frank Frazetta.
Hugely.
Or even the reason, Ben, I have the cover of the 1980s board game here, Hero Quest, is the cover of the 1980s board game Hero Quest, which many people will remember. I mean, Hero Quest was obviously in turn inspired by Conan.
Goodness.
But the cover of this is very much inspired by that, isn't it?
Oh my God.
The colours, Ben.
The colours, Michael.
The sorcerers.
The sword. The sexy lady.
There's a sexy lady.
There's a weird orc sorcerer.
There's a skeleton man. Yeah, he's in the same pose. Isn't that cool?
This is bizarre. Do you know what's missing though? I noticed on Hero Quest there are little dwarves helping Conan.
Yeah, because Hero Quest is a multiplayer game, whereas Conan usually isn't it good though? Isn't it
very close? Very well done, Michael.
Yeah, look, Ben. I like spotting an inspiration.
You're good at it.
Thank you.
You're good at spotting inspirations. Yeah, look, I don't think they could have picked much better than the guy that got to write this one. Jason Aaron does it great. Anytime you give a tough, rough and tough character to Jason Aaron, he's going to do all right.
Who the heck is Jason Aaron?
He's going to do all right. Jason Aaron is kind of, I suppose, a wunderkind of kind. A lot of listeners that are new to us would probably know him from the Thor series.
Or Ben.
He's been writing for quite a while.
They might know him from last week when we were talking about Jeff Lemire's Gideon Falls and you kept calling him Jason Aaron.
Yeah, that's also possibly true, Michael. But hopefully, if it inspired you to pick up a few Jason Aaron comics, as far as I'm concerned, I did you a service.
You did you a good service, didn't you?
A service. I think one of the talents that he really has is that he takes these characters that are traditionally murder machines, and he gives them a bit of depth, gives them a good bit of soul to go off, and I think that's very true here.
There are some similarities between a Thor and a Conan.
Oh, absolutely.
They are both they reach the heights of mirth and the depths of depression.
Nice, very good.
Yeah,
very good. Their melancholy knows no bounds.
Exactly, and they're sullen warrior types, but they love the company of women and drink.
Who doesn't, Michael? Huh? A
Lots
liar.
of people.
That's who.
Lots of people. The teetotal.
The teetotalers.
The virgins.
Anyway,
yes.
Asad Ribic has done a fantastic job of every single one of these covers, Michael.
They're
they
good,
are
aren't they?
very Frazetta-esque.
Mm-hmm. Very Les Dennis-esque.
Very Les Dennis-esque.
Les Edwards? I've forgotten his name.
He's a Croatian man.
Yeah? How is he?
And he did a whole run on Thor as well, as you probably know. Michael is a huge fan of the Thor comics.
Is he the guy who does the kind of painterly Thors?
He's the guy who does the painterly Thors.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I would argue that Asad Ribic is probably the closest thing we have to a new Alex Ross.
I see.
Working today. But I would argue...
Yes.
Whereas Alex Ross occasionally looks like a man in a costume.
Yeah.
Alex
Ross the artist.
Alex Ross the artist occasionally looks like he's painted a man in a costume.
Yeah, right.
Asad Ribic leans far more into the romantic kind of use of paint and stuff like that.
He's very good.
It's a much more comic book.
The old red witch on the comic on the cover there doesn't look anything like the one in the book, though.
It doesn't. I would imagine he was given the cover before,
because it probably takes a while to render these.
Yeah.
Now, Ben.
Yes.
Look. We're still talking about art here. We've gone the wrong way about this.
We've gone the wrong way about
this. But look, let's keep talking about art. Let's not forget the contribution of the main artist, because covers be damned.
If there ain't no consistency in that internal art, Ben ain't interested.
But holy moly, Ben, this
Good
is my
grief.
favourite internal art in a comic currently. This is my platonic ideal of what comic books should look like.
Yeah, I think I could not disagree with you.
Look at it.
I could not disagree with you, Michael.
It's bloody great.
Anatomy on point. Composition second to none. Overall storytelling and movement through panel.
Get out of here.
It's insane. Consistent characterization. Great facial expressions. Sexy ladies that aren't exploitative. Much.
A little bit exploitative.
Much. Michael. What work from Mizzou?
Oh, look at that. Look at that man getting struck by lightning.
Getting struck by lightning.
Get out of here.
Good
That's
grief.
too good, if anything.
Too good, if anything. And then we had an artist switch at one point, Michael.
Are we going to talk about
Michael,
that now?
As you know. Okay, go on. Well, I'll talk
What
about
are we
it
doing?
later.
What are we doing?
Get onto it. There are 6 issues in this, Michael.
There are.
6
And Ben,
issues.
there's an overall kind of arc.
There is.
This is the story of the life and death of Conan.
It is.
Ben, it's safe to spoil this and say it's not the story of the death of Conan, is it?
I think to hell with that. It's hyperbole, Michael,
Yeah.
used to sell a story.
I think that's pronounced hyperbole.
It's a hyperbole
Yeah.
used to sell a story.
Yes, very good. Benjamin, so we have a framing story.
Yes.
Which is Conan has been captured by the Red Witch and her 2 evil
At
children.
the end of his life when he's older.
He's not that old, though, is he? He only looks about 30.
Older.
He's about 30.
Most of the adventures in the book take place between the ages of 15 and 20.
I know, he's so young.
So he's so young.
Nimble.
But I think people forget that the average life expectancy, even up until the end of the Industrial Revolution, was around 40.
And how close in time to the Industrial Revolution is the Hyborian Age?
It's not. This isn't a time before everything else. It says it at the beginning of the comic there. I'll just get it up for you there.
Yeah.
There's a very historical reenactment of it. Know, O Prince, that between the years when the oceans drank Atlantis and the gleaming cities and the years of the rise of the sons of Aris, there was an age undreamed of when shining kingdoms lay spread across the world like blue mantles beneath the stars.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah. And hitherto came Conan the Cimmerian.
Yeah.
That's where he comes from.
That's where he comes from. The past,
So
the ancient
before
past.
the ocean drank Atlantis.
So Ben, issue 1
Yes.
is he's in a bloody fighting pit.
He's in a bloody pit. It's classic. I think there's probably a little bit of throwback to the 1982 movie there as well.
Okay.
Because we kind of get introduced to the fighting pits with Conan, and that's where he was born and bred, and that's kind of what he came out of. It's where he learned his prowess.
Yeah, he'll bloody headbutt a man.
He'd headbutt a man. In this, we see a bloody great one, where he's going up against a bunch of guys much superior to him in age,
Yeah.
not superior to him in fighting talent.
No fighting talent or strength or
No,
tenacity.
he's unmatched, cat-like, I believe, is how he's described. Anyway, we meet this, and then there's a bit of wagering going on, as there often is around a fighting pit.
Yes.
And a mysterious, sexy lady.
A sexy lady, Ben, who's my favourite character. She's a sexy lady in a sexy outfit with sexy booby armour.
Places all her money.
She looks a little bit like she's on Instagram.
She probably is.
She looks like a millennial Instagram influencer witch.
Anyway,
yes.
She goes against the grain of all the other gamblers there and bets
Cara
on
Delevingne.
and bets on the Northman.
Yeah.
Northman, if you're pronouncing things correctly. Which
and
we
then they do a
should
sex
do on
bet.
occasion.
To do a sex.
Yeah, they have a sex. He wins, naturally.
Yeah, the sex. He wins the sex.
And they have now sexy sex. He
Guess
doesn't win the sex, Michael.
Guess what, though?
What?
She's not a sexy lady.
She's only gone and been a bloody witch.
She's a witch the whole time.
Hell crone, Michael.
Yeah.
But anyway, we find out that she has great intent. She plans to
To sacrifice Conan.
to summon the dark god Razazel.
Razazel? Raziel?
Razzle Dazzle. She's gonna.
Ow, I hurt my jaw. I hurt my jaw laughing. Ow, something clicked in my jaw. Because you said razzle dazzle.
Yeah, so she's going to summon the god of dark blood, Razzle Dazzle.
And he's going to be
he's gonna
fabulous.
And the land will never know such glitz and glamour again.
Musicals 24/7.
Some people think that's hell. Conan is a firm believer in traditional theatre and will have none of it.
None of it. He's going to stop it.
But anyway, she needs Conan, and Conan is special because he's dodged death so many times. He has an air of destiny about him, according to the witch. And he proves that yet again. She has read in the runes and the bones that he's to die in this place. So she's fairly confident.
Yeah.
She goes at him with an El Dagger.
Yeah.
And he takes it through the hand, and she's shocked and stunned.
Not enough to stop Conan.
Not enough to stop Conan. Not half enough. And then what does he do? He only goes and lops her head off. Well, he doesn't actually.
3/4 of the way off.
He does a messy old job because he's not carrying his traditional sword, Michael. He's
It's
carrying
rusty
the
old.
rusty old sword that he lost. Because he lost his sword in a wager.
Yeah, he's a bit of a chancer, isn't he?
So it's a rusty old sword, and that's the reason it doesn't cut clean in the way. He also just fought off a horde of zombie folk.
Yeah, remember all the zombies.
But I think it's a perfect opening issue for anyone who wants to know what Conan's about. All the main points are hit. He's a big bloody barbarian. Doesn't take nicely to witches and magic. Doesn't take nicely to being told he can't do things. Doesn't take nicely to being undermined. Doesn't take nicely to being underestimated. And away we go.
Easily manipulated by a sexy lady.
Easy manipulated by a sexy lady. It happens to the best of us, Michael. It happens to the best of us. And it's a perfect introduction issue for this run. Jason Aaron plays a lot of homages or homages to the Robert E. Howard stuff, the Frank Frazetta stuff. The art's on point. There's some colours. It's just,
several colours, yeah.
It moves great, Michael. And that brings us to issue number 2.
Issue 2 is about racism, Ben.
Issue 2 is about racism, and it's also about, I'm going to have it written down here, I can't remember.
The Picts.
It's about the Picts. It's what fascinates me about issues. Oh, sorry, we forgot to finish up what the subplot is. But it turns out, as he's king of Aquilona, he still follows the Sumerian tradition of looking his foes in the eye, even if they're dead. And then we find out there's 2 little weird baby children.
Yeah, I
things,
don't like them.
And they do an owl stabby stab. And it turns out that many years later, the witches come back from the dead. Yeah. And she's fostered 2 orphan children who are going to complete the ritual instead. So they've kidnapped Conan again. By giving him an L stabby stab. Yeah. And so that's the subplot. But anyway, moving on to issue number 2, we have the Picts, Michael, or Conan Dances with Wolves.
I see what you've done there.
Yes.
He goes native.
I suppose we could call it Dances with Ghost Serpents, but it's up to you.
It is Dances with Wolves. But he has to fight snakes instead of whatever Kevin Costner has to fight. Prejudice.
Yeah. It's a Native American revenge myth. The setup is very, very simple. The people of Aquilona, or Hybaria, is it Hybaria?
Hyperborea?
I'm not sure. Anyway, I think it's the people of Aquilona who are building settlements.
They're encroaching into
Pict territory. The Picts are illustrated as Native Americans or Mayans. Aztec Native American style gangs.
There's a little bit of African in them as well, though.
Yeah, they're a fusion. Picts are an actual thing, though, aren't they? They're Picts in our history, aren't they?
Picts were Scottish, were they?
Scottish, yeah, that's what I thought.
Nothing like these boys.
Not Scottish here.
No.
But it turns out that the Picts have been doing raids, killing the settlers in their sleep. So there's strong frontier vibe off this narrative, and Conan is originally working for the Aquilonians as a mercenary enforcer, murdering Picts, just going around cutting them about.
Yeah, getting revenge.
Getting.
They killed a dog.
Yeah, they killed. They killed a dog.
They did kill a dog.
They killed children in their beds. And
no,
he
they
didn't.
Has
an issue.
They said Conan is out to get. Conan is on patrol, and the Picts kill his patrol, and they kill. And Conan swears that he will kill 17 Picts, one for every person that they kill, one of whom had been a dog.
Okay,
so it says it bloody there.
Does, yeah.
Sometimes I feel I'm the only one who reads these comics.
He's not. I think you are the only one who reads the comics. I just kind of bounce off your energy and hope that I'm right.
But anyway, he goes and dances with wolves.
Yeah, he goes and dances with wolves. And it's really important, and it's probably the one with the most soul. Something that struck me about this issue, and something that we've talked about before, Michael. We read a lot of comics where...
we bloody read a lot of comics, Ben.
We read a lot of comics where we have a force of nature kind of character.
Yeah.
An unstoppable character. We talked about it before. Headlopper is one of those people. Hellboy is another one.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the author will often use those characters for is just... kind of as a central focus for other characters to tell the story around them. Mm-hmm. Not happening in this comic.
No, Conan learns something.
We get a lot of Conaning in this. And it's very different from a lot of the barbarian force of nature kind of stories that we've read before. And in this issue in particular, we get that central, I suppose, conflict in his character where he often spends time in the lands of civilization and men, or what he deems to be civilization and men. And he actually finds a second family here with the Picts.
It doesn't harm the situation, Ben, that all the Picts are depicted as loincloth wearing savages until they adopt Conan, and then suddenly there are sexy Picts everywhere.
Sexy great time Picts.
There's lots of sexy Picts. There's no sexy Picts before, and then when he becomes one of them, there's bloody sexy Picts up the wazoo.
Schrodinger's Picts. When you accept them, they become sexy. It's messy. Look,
not ideal.
it's
Benjamin,
late at night. Leave me alone.
It's a good episode, though. It's a good issue. It's one of my favourite issues.
Yes,
it might be
very
my
good issue.
favourite individual issue.
The ghost serpents are great. They hark back to kind of Victorian, really traditional Victorian wilderness narratives where the villain would be a big, giant, scary thing. H. Rider Haggard novels, which I know we've talked about before. A group of intrepid Britishmen going around the deepest Africa.
Look at my helmet.
Dear God, it's a giant ape. Things like that. But these are giant serpents.
Giant snaky boys. Benjamin, be quiet for a second. Issue 3 is about it's about why you should never try and kill Conan.
Yeah, it's no good.
Because he'll get you.
He'll get you. Or, if he doesn't get you, Crom might.
Or coincidence.
Or sheer coincidence.
I think it was coincidence.
I think it was coincidence too, Michael.
And just barefaced luck.
Barefaced. But I think Conan has a bit of barefaced luck in his favour.
Well, you have to, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, to be a barbarian that dodges death that many times that you could be used for someone forth the dark god Razzle Dazzle. I mean,
although there's an argument that it was Razzle Dazzle who struck down.
I mean, this is another argument, isn't it? It could be Razzle Dazzle.
It was a very fabulous lightning bolt.
It was amazing. One of the best panels in the 6-issue run that we took a look
when
at.
the man got electrocuted.
Yes, it tickled my pickle too, Michael. It was great. This one is all about. This has like strong Deliverance vibes for me. I enjoy that. Jason Aaron seems to be writing these as a Western.
He's an evil frontier town.
A lot of that's what it is. It's a frontier town.
We don't like foreigners here, boy.
But it's very similar to Unforgiven or something like that, where a stranger comes to town, he's not very welcome.
Not welcome.
And you get some crooked justice. And then all of a sudden, oh wait, we've underestimated our intended victim. There are also strong Edgar Allan Poe vibes here.
Go on.
With the red tree, kind of the blood red tree in the center of town. The twisted madness of the town kind of thing.
It's not a good town.
It's not a good town, filled with thieves and slaves.
I wouldn't go there.
You wouldn't go there as in calling them thieves and slaves?
No, I wouldn't go to the town.
You wouldn't holiday in the town.
Unless it was to go and kick them in the head.
So I think one of the interesting things is there's an interesting bit of characterization here and possibly a comment on poverty in general. But they don't like Conan because Conan steals for a living.
Yeah.
They don't mind when other people die at the tree. In fact, they have sympathy for them because they stole because they were hungry or for survival. But they hate Conan.
He's a thief.
Because Conan's a thief for a living. He
no
doesn't
good.
have to.
No.
But he does.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, what a dick bag. So anyway, the plot of this one is pretty simple. I think we're exposed more to the religious factions in...
Yeah, you got to find out about Crom.
Hyperborea. You get to know a little bit more about Crom. The actual official title of this one is Cimmerians Don't Pray.
They don't pray.
They don't pray because...
Crom's a useless bastard.
Because it's not that Crom's a useless bastard. Crom doesn't care.
Yeah.
They pray to Crom because Crom's kind of a god of destruction, yada, yada, yada. And it's explained a little bit better in... I can't believe I'm about to say this, but it's explained quite well in the 1982 movie. In the opening scene where Conan's father explains to him why Cimmerians pray to Crom. And it's because most other gods are in the sky or in the air or intangible. Crom is the only god in the earth. So he's the only one with a solid foundation, and he controls steel and things like that, and what you make steel out of.
Quite a bit of imagery from the movie in this series as well. There's a good bit of hanging in that movie, isn't there? There's hanging from a lonely barren tree.
Quite a bit of hanging. Quite a few boobies.
There's a few boobies in the movie. Yeah. There's also a bit in the movie which, good friend of the podcast, Shane, didn't believe me that James Earl Jones takes a snake and turns it into an arrow.
Yeah, no, it happens.
It definitely happens.
It happens.
Look, if Shane's listening, which he isn't, but it's about time that you admitted that you were wrong and I was right about the arrow snake.
I'm totally on board with that, Mick. I'm not saying that it's there, but maybe if you were to look on YouTube, you might find
it. You could. It definitely happens. He takes a snake, straightens it out, and then puts it in a bow and shoots it at a man.
Yes, but I'm not saying the entire 1982 movie is up on YouTube in full HD. I would never say that on a podcast, Michael. But I'm just saying, if you did type in Conan the Barbarian, the first thing that might pop up in some alternate reality is the entire movie.
Arnold Schwarzenegger does not look like Conan.
No, he
not
has
at all.
Slightly like fair hair in the thing. No, it doesn't work. He's too big, but neither does Jason Momoa in the very ill-fated 2011. Thank God Jason Momoa got out of that, huh?
Yeah, surfer bloody Conan.
Well, surfer Conan. He does the thing that he does. Anyway, back to the comic.
Episode bloody 4. There's a bloody lion. That's what
Episode
it's called.
4 is our artist change, and it's one of the few times that I've really enjoyed an artist change. Michael, so grim, such a grim artist, such Frank Frazetta vibes.
I was worried, Ben.
Yes.
I turned the page and I went, oh no, there's a bloody new artist. But there's a couple of things they have going for it. One, the episodic nature of this comic lets you away with it.
It's fine.
So even though it's a very different art style,
yes,
and he's not trying to ape the other artist,
yes,
it works.
One of the interesting things that I found with the switch in art styles is in all the other issues, the adventure takes place mostly in the daytime, apart from the Serpent one, number 2. And this one's a very grim urban vibe, very Batman.
There's a good bit of Batman about it.
Very Batman, very Punisher. Dark avenging kind of angel vibes.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
One. Also, we get introduced to the best sidekick that Conan could possibly have.
A lion.
A big bloody lion. So there's strong Samson vibes being drawn there.
Quite a small lion.
A few little biblical things. I think that's supposed to be because Conan is so bloody big.
Is he big or small? Which
one
is it?
They can never decide. He is often described as a frost giant. In this one, he's described as a frost giant.
He's not an enormous lion.
I don't know. I don't know the average size of lions.
Bigger than that guy.
But again, this issue serves to show that contrast between Conan being wild at heart and Conan being, trapped in civilization quite a bit.
It's good though.
I quite enjoyed it. He also wears a weird Punisher-esque mask thing around the
with
bottom
an evil
of his face.
skull thing.
I'm into it. I'm there for it.
Benjamin.
Yes.
The next issue is called Where's Conan Now? He's in the sea.
Oh, Conan's only gone and found a bloody boat.
He's on a sea fighting a Cthulhu.
Yeah, a Cthulhu, exactly. So in this particular one, we're going right back to Lovecraft, Michael.
I love the art in this one.
It's absolutely
There's pirates,
fantastic.
There's monsters, there's smug Conan having a chicken sandwich.
Mahmut Asrar is possibly one of the most competent comic book artists I've seen.
The best.
He's so good. Look at the compositions, Michael.
Look at them, Ben.
Look how clean it is. And he's never late.
It's clean, Ben, but
His
it's not
issues are
boring
on time.
either.
Never. Look at this.
Look at him chopping off that
Such
arm.
excitement with that tentacle chop.
Get rid of that tentacle. I think the bloody the colorist is in some favours there. That's not great.
The colorist is pretty good as well.
Look, Ben, look at the colours. There's blue colours and there's yellow colours and there's blue colours.
Nice work all around. This one is great. Really, I get some really, really strong ocean horror vibes, Cthulhu, reminiscent a touch, Michael, of the Alan Moore subplot in Watchmen.
There is a bit of the Black Freighter about it, all right.
Freighter.
Yeah. Not quite as grim as the Black Freighter.
Again, very importantly here, while Conan doesn't seem to hold much tact with magic or put much stock in it, this is a great example of the chaos that does rule around where Conan is from, because he finds a little talisman or a little object, and it turns out it's a bloody dark object, and if it feeds on blood, Michael,
it'll turn into a big gibbly blob.
It turns things into big Cthulhu-y kind of creaturey things.
Mostly tentacles.
And it serves to kind of remind Conan that there is a darker side to the world that he belongs to.
Isn't this series great, though? Isn't it great that by doing this framing device of going back and showing all the times he's narrowly avoided death, they can just jump around all over the place. Where's Conan now? He's in the sea fighting a Cthulhu. Where is he now? He's in the bloody desert, and he's the only one who's not useless.
I think he's about 19 on the boat. He's 17 when he's been hung from the tree.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what age he is in Conan of Chimeria.
He's in the bloody desert now, and he's the only one who's any use.
Desert man. Yeah, he's the only a Northman with no experience of the desert. He's the only one who's any use. And again, it illustrates a whole new aspect of Conan.
Look at his muscles, Ben.
His musculus. Yes, they're pretty big. And they illustrate all kinds of points using each story. And this one shows what a tactician he is. It shows Conan as a man who's not afraid to run if the odds are impossible. And he doesn't necessarily run. He retreats until he can actually...
It's not coward's blood.
Figure out it's not coward's blood at all. It's a tactical retreat, Michael. In a very literal sense. The variant covers aren't as good.
Some of the variant covers have... sorry, I didn't speak into the mic. Some of the variant covers have nothing to do with what's going on. This one has multiple sexy ladies on the covers helping him fight.
Again, I think, Michael, what might happen is they get in touch with Jason Aaron. Jason Aaron gives them the Spark Notes version of what he's going to be doing. And then they have to figure out a bloody variant cover based on that. That's pretty interesting.
That's pretty good.
Conan versus a frost giant.
Yeah, I like
but anyway, Conan of Arabia is interesting. It kind of shows that he's good at political maneuvering. He's a very intelligent man, and that is something that Robert E. Howard went to great lengths, Michael, to establish in the comic books.
It was very Robert-y of him.
Or not in the comic books, in the novels. Robert E. of him, indeed. He kind of went out of his way to show that Conan could speak different languages, that he had a lot of tact.
Yeah.
He's a very tactical man.
Yeah.
And again, it just establishes the force of nature end of the what?
That's not what tact means.
I know it's not what it means.
Right,
Tactical in the military sense,
right,
and he had a lot of tact in a social sense.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah.
But it was just useful to roll the two into one. But anyway, sorry, lost the run of my thought.
Where are you going there?
Again, we get to see the different factions in this land that he's from.
Yeah, we get to see it's a nice broad gamut of places.
There's such a gamut.
Such a gamut.
Such a gamut. A real Gomorrah. But it's just what a comic.
It's brilliant, Ben.
Um,
I've read further, Ben.
Go on.
Obviously, because I'm up to date on this comic.
You
I don't think it's very far in. If you wanted to jump on board now, I think it's only on around issue 14 or so, isn't it?
It would be. It only came out this year.
It only came out this year. It might only be on issue 10.
Only came out this year, and they only got the rights back on the 2nd of January.
2nd of January 2019.
So I'd say the first one didn't come out till what?
March? At the earliest?
At the
They
earliest.
probably were drawing it before they secured the rights.
Oh, I think Jason probably was given the
Oh, JR.
Oh,
That's what we call him.
JR.
Our mate JR.
around here. But look, the themes in this are phenomenal. It's establishing a legend. It's showing every bit of characterization you need from Conan. He's very cynical. He's very against things. One of my favorite lines is right in the first issue where the Crimson Witch turns around to him and says,
Look at me, I'm real sexy.
yes, she says that, but she
says,
also says,
she says to him, Ben, she says to him, can I have a free meal? I'll post it on Instagram. I've got 200,000 followers.
and he says, oh, fine, I need the business. She also says, I hope you can muster more energy to do some other rough stuff. That's an actual quote from the comic, which I quite enjoyed. But the one that I really enjoyed was the stories don't do you justice, and he says they rarely do.
Yeah, because he's even sexier.
And I think that's a great tone for this. It's a great tone to set in this series. We are going back to grassroots with Conan here. We are building that legend all over again. And what a way to do it, Michael. What
Benjamin,
a way to do it. Yeah.
If people enjoyed this, which they should or else they're wrong,
Or you can still.
I'll categorically say that.
But
now.
don't stop listening.
Oh, I'll bloody get you.
Don't stop listening.
I'll get you. I'll fight you in the fighting pits of Samaria.
Please don't stop listening.
I'll fight you in the fighting pits of Aquilonia.
Please don't stop listening.
Benjamin,
Yes.
What else could people read if they enjoyed this?
Well, we've covered it a few times here, Michael. Headlopper is a good call if you're into a big bloody barbarian mess of things.
Ben, did you know they only got the rights for this on the 2nd of January in 2019?
Yeah, no, it's bizarre. Isn't
No,
it?
it's weird.
It's absolutely mad.
Go
You're
on,
glad
then.
I found that out, aren't you?
Headlopper.
It's made your day. Headlopper would be a great shout for this. I would go back to a lot of the Jason Aaron Thor stuff, especially some of the earlier stuff in the God Butcher run, where he's in little
Young
shanty
Thor.
Nordic fjord towns, going about things. Pretty great little run.
You could read the original Conan bloody
You
comics.
could read the original Conan comics
by
check out
Roy Thomas.
Check out that. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it was Roy Thomas.
Check out that sexy Frazetta art style.
Yeah.
Give that a go. I don't know what else you would recommend, Michael. What would you recommend?
You might roll your eyeballs over Slain.
Slain would be a good call.
I mean, Slain is basically an Irish Conan.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is.
From 2000 AD. He's
exactly what he is.
They don't even look terribly dissimilar, do they, Ben?
No.
You could get the 1986 board game Hero Quest.
If you're into a
then
lunge, is that a squat? A squatting Conan?
He's doing a squat and a
doing
chop.
A squat, getting the glutes ready for beach season. He's doing a good job as well. The Sumerian beaches will be awash with young ladies going, "Ooh, look at those buns."
Look at those man's thighs.
To quote Michael Leonard, arse like a can of peaches. But yeah,
Not a peach.
not a peach.
A can of peaches. Rigid,
solid.
circular, aluminium-y.
You can check out a lot of Jason Aaron's other work as well. It would be a good shout for that. Overall, Michael, in terms of closing impressions, probably the best high fantasy swords and sandals kind of thing that I've read
Swords
in a
and
long
sorcery. Swords and
time.
sandals is gladiators.
I'm still going to say swords and sandals because I prefer it.
Sorcery is hard to say.
Swords and sorcery thing that I've read, I really enjoyed it so far.
My favourite comic book now, Ben, at the moment is this.
Yeah, well, we can't do much better than that, Michael,
Everybody read it, or else I'll come and get you.
What did you think of it, ladies and gentlemen?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're talking to me.
Did you force
My
yourself...
favourite character was the sexy influencer witch.
Did you force yourself to sit through the 3.5-minute pit fight scene in 1982's Conan, where Arnold Schwarzenegger literally uses the term "Ara" for an entire scene of dialogue, in the slowest fight scene I have ever seen?
Fight choreography wasn't that good until modern times, Ben.
It wasn't worth a nickel. I don't know why I said that. It was weird. But there are strong vibes, great homages to former things. Did you find anything that we might have missed? Did you see anything that you might have missed? Did you not like this? You probably shouldn't get in touch with us.
What's wrong with you? I'll find you.
Mick will note it down and possibly use a lifetime of skills to track down and find you with the will of Crom.
By Crom, I'll say.
By Crom, he may strike you down. Michael, any closing comments before I do the wrap-up?
Great.
Great, fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a comic you'd like us to read, do get in touch with us. You can find us on seomrabeag.com, seomrabeag.com.
Means tiny room in Irish.
It does indeed. You're probably listening to this on Spotify. If you're listening to this on Spotify, give us an L follow. We could use it. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, give us a review. We'd love an L review.
Give us a review. Like it, we gave a review to Conan the Barbarian, Life and Death of Conan.
Give us a review. Talk about our tropes, our depths,
themes,
what we remind you of, what we homage.
When we had a fill-in artist.
When we had a fill-in artist. Our sexy lady.
Sexy lady influencer.
Tell us all about that. Let us know what you think. If you listen to us anywhere else, you might be listening to us on YouTube. Give us an like and subscribe. Every little helps. Yeah, that's about it for this week, Michael. Oh, Michael and Ben. If you haven't had your fill,
if there's something wrong with you,
and if you'd like something with a little more banter, which we teased here,
what's wrong with you?
We're a little bit more civil here, but if you'd like a little more, we do have another podcast where we take a look at more contemporary comic book, movie, game things that we might take a look at. We might have to do a Conan retrospective.
And we're meaner to each other.
Michael is meaner to me.
I might even call you a cook.
I'm actually pretty nice, or a libtard. It depends on how he's feeling on the day. That's it from us, ladies and gentlemen.
Benjamin, hold on. What are we going to do in 2 weeks' time?
Oh, we haven't decided, Michael.
Benjamin, I think we should do, our next comic should be a real classic.
Okay.
I think it should be something from before you were born.
Okay.
This isn't leading to anything.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe something like the original Squadron Supreme.
Right. Well,
but I don't know if we can track that down, so we're not going to commit to it yet.
If you have a suggestion for what we could cover, something before I was born, a classic. Pre-1991.
Pre-91.
Go on, give us an suggestion there. We're always open to new ones. We'd love to hear from you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. I was supposed to be Conan, but it sounded like a seal.